Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just as a benefit for us all to know, the scholars in Islam, they say that giving the salam, being the first one to give salam, it is sunnah. It is something that is loved by Allah. But responding to the salam, if someone has given you salam and they say assalamu alaikum to you, then it becomes wajib upon you to respond back. So if someone says assalamu alaikum, you cannot remain silent. You have to say wa alaikum assalam. Okay? And if they say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, then you should reply in the same way. You say wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay? Do you guys understand?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a question?
If someone said Assalamu alaikum, you should say it better. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallahu khairan. Very good. So you should always do better or equal to it. Okay, so if someone says to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, you should not say Assalamu alaikum. If someone says to you, Assalamu alaikum, then you can say wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay? So let's try that again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, that's much better. In the past classes, we've been speaking about the story of Luqman, good, and we spoke about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his encounter with the king, if you remember. In these stories, what we're trying to highlight for both the children and the adults is for us to get an understanding of the tremendous power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? If you remember, one of that advice that Luqman gave to his son was that he taught his son who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is through the knowledge. Okay? Teaching him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of all matters. There's nothing that Allah azza wa jalla does not see, nothing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not hear, nothing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unaware of. So today I want to mention another story that highlights this. And again, it might be a story that some of you have heard before, but inshallah it will be a reminder. So the story goes, and this story is about the pious man that we know by the name of Uzair. Okay? Uzair, in both the Quran and the Sunnah, is mentioned as someone that was that loved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very much and tried his best to follow the religion. And some scholars, they say he lived after the time of Musa alayhi salam and before the time of Isa alayhi salam. Okay? Now, his story is a very interesting story and a very unique story. And again, you might have heard it before, but for those that have heard it, inshallah, it will be a reminder. This story is mentioned in the Quran. Okay? Faris, I want you to pay attention. This story is mentioned in the Quran. And Allah Azza wa Jal tells us that Uzair, this pious man, was traveling once. Okay? This is one of those stories that start with once upon a time, right? But it's a true story. So once upon a time, this man, Uzair, was traveling. And he's traveling on his donkey. Right? This was a long time ago. No cars, no planes, nothing of that sort. Either you travel on foot or you travel on donkey or horse. Or camel. Good. I forgot about camels. So this man was traveling. And he came to a city or a small village, a place. And this place was in ruins. Do you guys know what a ruin is?
No.
What are ruins? Yes?
Old places.
Good. It's a very, very old place, right? A place that no one has lived in for a very long time, centuries, okay? Hundreds of years. It's abandoned, okay? Like the pyramids might be considered to be ruins of an ancient civilization. So this man was traveling with his donkey, and he came across this place that was so ancient, so old, that it made him think. He stopped and he pondered. He was thinking very hard. And he said to himself, how will God, Allah, ever bring life back to this place that is almost completely forgotten? And Allah wanted to show him, not just him, but mankind, just a glimpse of the power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. And as you know, this man, he was caused to die. Allah took his soul. He died, and it's mentioned in the Quran that he was dead for 100 years. How long? 100. Not 300. Okay. Who were the ones that slept for 300 years? Yes?
One of the kings, one of those evil kings,
You're close. Can anyone help him? Very close. So, yes? Exactly. The companions of the cave, Ashabul Kahf, right? 300 years or 309 years. Now, this story, the man Uzair, he slept for 100 years. And after 100 years passed, Allah brought him back to life. Imagine, just for a moment, if a person is dead for 100 years, if you count 100 years back from now, so 2018, right? I almost said 2017. 2018, right? What's 100 years ago from 2018? Yes?
1918.
1918, good, right? 1918. How did the world look in 1918?
World War I.
Right, good. It was around that time. Okay. What about technology?
There wasn't like a calculator. It would be a wooden one, like pebbles and like wood. It's not like electronic. What we have in this day, it was like more of old-fashioned.
Good. Yes.
There were no computers at the time. Like there were aircraft was just invented at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They were not like the planes we see today. They were like biplanes.
Good.
I think technology wasn't at that time because Benjamin Franklin, I think it was like above the time when that happened.
Wow, we have some historians, mashallah. Very good. Was this invented back then?
No.
Was this invented back then? No. Was this invented back then?
TV, but it's smaller and it's smaller.
I'm not sure if there was a TV, but I'm not going to.
I think Benjamin Franklin's time was above that.
Okay.
He's the one that discovered it.
So the point I'm trying to make is that the world has changed a lot. So imagine now if a person was dead or sleeping from 1918 to 2018, and they wake up, things would have changed, right?
He would find the world new, and maybe maybe you'll find that abandoned place different.
Yes. So let's see what happened. Let's see what happened when Uzair woke up. So he slept, or he was dead rather, for 100 years. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought him back to life. And it is mentioned that the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought him back to life was he got his eyes and his face first. And one of the amazing things was that he was able to see in front of him his own body forming, coming back to life from the dead. Amazing thing. It is. Not only that, but once he came back to life completely, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show him even more. Yes.
Did it hurt?
Allahu a'lam. That is not, it is not mentioned, but it's a good question.
Didn't he bring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring back the donkey?
Yes. So this is where we're heading. So Uzair is back to life now. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows him two main things. When he was traveling, what do you need when you travel? Imagine back in those days, even today, what do you need when you travel? You need your donkey, obviously. Maybe not today, but you need a donkey and, well, if you have a donkey, then you have a friend is good. But in this case, he did not have a friend, but he had something important. What did he have? Yes? Food and water, right? So now, yes? Yes, and clothes too. So he got everything back. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him two things. The donkey. The donkey had died along with him, right? And it had become bones. Remember again, 100 years passed, right? It is mentioned that the bones of the donkey became pearl white. No meat, nothing on it. No skin, nothing. No blood, nothing. The only thing that remained of the donkey was white bones. And with time, they had moved around different places. And Allah wanted to show him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought that donkey together, piece by piece, every bone fitting in its right place. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put everything else together. The blood, the tissue, the hair, the skin, the guts, everything. And in front of Uzair was this living, breathing donkey that just moments before had been dead. And similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Uzair to look at the food. Again, how long passed? 100 years, right? Now, the food had not changed at all. He had with him grapes and bread and simple food. And that was still fresh, even after 100 years. So again, it shows us how amazing the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Now, what did Uzair do? He went back to his people where he left. And he didn't recognize anything. And in the city, he didn't recognize the people didn't recognize him, but it was his home. There was just one person that recognized Uzair. And that person was a very, very old lady who had passed 100 years old, right? She was older than that. And the only reason she recognized Uzair, because she knew him from before, When Uzair left the city 100 years before, she was just a little girl, perhaps the same age as many of you here. So she remembered and she was amazed. And once she verified the story, the people, they truly understood at that moment that they got a glimpse into the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we think that this is fairy tales or stories, that it used to happen in the past. But there are even greater miracles that happen each and every day. Today people, they say, I will become a believer when I see the angels in front of me. I will become a believer when I see Allah, God in front of me. I will become a believer when I see these things with my own eyes. Yet, we have great signs every single day. If you think about it, the way that the body works, the human body, the way that nature, it's so beautiful and diverse, the way that the universe is so amazing. They call it never ending, right? They say space is so vast that it never ends, right? So subhanallah, if you think about all these things, you don't need to see angels, because you see the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala each and every day. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says, and this is very important, Allah Azza wa Jalla says that وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ, and even within yourselves, there are signs of a creator. I'll end the story with an example. Imagine you're traveling in the desert, the Sahara Desert, the biggest desert, right? And you find a watch, a beautiful watch. Or let's say something modern. You find a phone. Maybe. And when you find that phone, what is the first thing you think of? Do you think this phone just happened to be there by chance? Or what do you think of it?
It probably means someone was here and they dropped it.
Right? You think that someone was here. If you see footprints in front of you, in the snow, in the sand, you think there has to be a cause for this. These footprints, they were left by something, a human being, an animal. In the same way, we in Islam would believe that the world and everything it contains, the universe and everything it contains, all the things that we can see and all the things that we can't see, all show the creator or the existence of a creator. So inshallah, I want to not make it too long. Inshallah, I hope it was beneficial. I want you guys, like I said before, remember these stories. We don't just mention these stories to have a nice time. Alhamdulillah, we have a nice time. But I don't want you to just sit and drink and eat and forget the stories. Okay, there's a reason behind the stories that we pick, and there's a reason behind why we mention these stories. Okay? So inshallah, with that we will conclude. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.